Hello, welcome back to another edition of Road Talk with Cade. Today in my life is March 28th, 2025. The title for this episode is The Architect. With the show having recently been very architecturally heavy, I thought we might as well keep that theme going. Who is the architect? Well, that would be me. I wanted to use this episode as a projection of how my life would play out if everything went to plan from this moment forward. At the ripe old age of 24, I've had my fair share of life experiences. Some good, a lot bad, with new ones coming every day. I started a new job 2 weeks ago, leaving me at a pivot point in my life and ambitions. If you recall in episode 26, I was asking for a change of scenery that better fits my appetite. Well, lucky for me, I had the old nepotism bug bite me in the leg. At the beginning of March, my father offered me a job to start working for him, which I accepted and am now currently barreling down the road into. The reason I went to college was to get a job like the one my dad had while I was growing up. Now here we are at 24. I have accomplished that goal. Having the job is one thing, performing to my father's expectations, and keeping it is a whole other can of worms we can come back to at some point in the future. Seeing that one omen from the documentation of my life has come true, why not keep the ball rolling? Over the course of this episode, I will write out the vision of a perfect, put that in quotations perfect, life through the eyes of my 24-year-old self. Putting pen to paper to draw my life in the only way it can go, forward. As of March 2025, we are 22 months into the original 12-year plan. I have lived and learned in the state of Texas. I have found myself, the person I want to be in the state of North Carolina. Over the next 2 or 3 years, I plan to work my territory throughout the Southeast, selling the material, zirconia, that makes denture teeth. Following in my father's footsteps, as he teaches me how to be a man and a salesman. I hope him being my direct boss causes our relationship to become closer than it ever has, simply by the fact that it will force us to talk more than it ever has in the past. Also for the reason that I can't think of a better teacher in my current situation than my old man. But for now, that's enough talk about work. From this moment forward, if I could control the outcomes and aspects of my own personal life, the rest of this podcast is how I'd want it to play out. Keep in mind that the woes of life are ever changing. What I want today might not satisfy me tomorrow. This episode is simply the structural outline of the positions that I hope to find myself in the future. Starting in the short term, I really don't have much planned for this year. That is for the simple fact that in the current state of my financial affairs, I have not made enough to start justifying future expenditures. By expenditures, I mean vacations. My pipeline dream for 2025 is to experience Oktoberfest in Germany. Other than that, the only other trips I have currently planned are going home for weddings and the boys' college football trip in the fall. A rather limited list, but now that I travel for a living, spending 2 to 3 nights on the road per week should set me up to really get into the nitty-gritty of the southeastern United States. Moving on past 2025 into longer off adventures, the trajectory that I'm hoping to move in is working my current territory through the 2026 calendar year. The new job should give me sufficient time to traverse throughout the southeast and check off many things from my bucket list. In 2026, I also hope to do a 6 or 7 day road trip throughout the Northeast, flying into Boston, then doing a road trip through all the state capitals of the Northeastern region, heading as far west as Albany, New York. This trip would allow me to check off the 7 Northeastern states that I have yet to visit, as well as checking off a few of the many things that pique my interest in that region of the country. That will hopefully conclude my lively adventures on the eastern side of the Mississippi on this leg of life. Moving into 2027, at some point during that calendar year, I hope to traverse over to the Pacific Northwest region of the country. In the following years through 2029, I hope to rediscover myself in the western part of the United States. I can already tell you, my life will move drastically in the positive, simply from the time change, allowing me to watch my favorite sports teams at a more reasonable hour than night. Also, college football will start as early as 9 a.m., which in all reality, life can't get much better than that. Moving on to my life's tagline. I have been saying it for years now, Germany by 2030. The date that I have circled in my calendar since junior year of college. My goal in 5 years from now is to move over to my ancestors' native country of Germany. The Schwann side of my family that I most closely identify with moved to the Americas sometime during the 1860s. Following moving to Wisconsin, they then farmed the land that I was raised on since the early 1900s. To honor them, as well as learn more about the heritage of my people, I hope to move back to Europe to yet again reinvent myself. The goal in the European episode of my life is to visit all 44 countries on the continent, allowing me to further immerse myself in the traditions of my ancestors past, while also getting cultured into other countries, such as Kosovo, which many of you, I'm sure, didn't even know it existed until I just said it. By this point, the plan is so far out that the only usable word for the next major adventure in my life is roughly. What I plan to do after the European expedition is to move back home, to the small town that I wear proudly on my chest everywhere I go, and forever will. I owe everything that I have to that 120 acres I was raised on, and the town of 1,200 people down the road. There is no place I see myself ending up other than back there with my brothers, surrounded by family. Upon my return to the great state of Wisconsin, I hope to bring back with me a wife. I hope by the time I'm 34 or 35, I've found a woman to put up with my sporadic inconsistencies. She may be exotic or cut from the same cloth as me. By exotic, I mean having any other accent than the one that I grew up with. Returning back home with her, I hope to start a family, if I have not already. Raising a bundle of children in an environment that is well suited to breed success. When I go back home and look around, the average rate of success is 1,000-fold the national average as far as my experiences across this country have provided me. While raising that family, I hope to build two things. The first is my dream home, a cream brick Italianate style home with a red roof and a well-manicured back porch, perfect for reading books in the summer months. On that homestead, I will have a perfectly circular barn that I've already drawn out and shown to the ones dearest to me. The home that I plan to build one day is the encapsulation of all the pride that I take in my home state and the man it has produced in me. There are few things in my life that I take more pride in than being a Wisconsinite. The second thing that I plan to build, a brewery or a bar, filled with a collection of all the things that I have acquired on my past year's travels. In this establishment will be my man cave. Not only will it be my man cave, but it will be my place to tell stories. A place where I can look back fondly on what I accomplished, telling stories of the world that I have seen, as well as being able to share the documentation of my life to the people around me that have had a great influence on me without their knowing. Fostering a place for people in my neck of the woods to dream big with their life's ambitions, not fearing failure or judgment from their peers. Beyond those life goals, when I move home, I plan to do one more thing that I briefly already mentioned. I dream mostly of being a father, hoping to raise an abundance of children, coaching them in sports throughout their youth. To me, being a father is simply the most important thing you can do as a man on planet Earth. Providing a next generation that follows in your footsteps is one of God's first words spoken in the Bible. I hope to be a fruitful multiplier, creating multiple mini-me's that will torture my very existence to the grave and beyond. For those that have listened this far, you are probably wondering why I'm so comfortable talking about my future ambitions in life. There's a simple reason for that. I never thought for a second that I would make it this far. So now 22 months into this insanity, why would I stop pushing my luck? I plan to continue chasing my dreams, pushing myself and my ambitions outside of their comfort zone, so that one day it reaches a point where I am proud of what I have accomplished as a man. We are nowhere near that yet as far as I'm concerned. There are so many things that I want to do that I haven't even started down the path of. Two major areas of improvement that I hope to make are to learn how to play the piano and be able to ballroom dance. By acquiring those two skills, as well as being bilingual, I believe those three skills will achieve the level of gentleman that I hope to be, which is rather odd because the term gentleman actually evolved from some of the most ruthless men on the planet, but I prefer the more modern term of the gentleman. With all that being said, the adventure that I started 22 months ago is still hardly stumbling to a walk. I have only begun all that I hope to accomplish in my coming days on this earth, as I am the architect of my future. I will build my dreams one day at a time. With all that randomness being said, thank you for listening. I love you. Bye.